It has been 172 days since the last NFL game was played. That changes tonight with the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio between the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 12th Horseshoe podcast here on Surge Sports TV. I am Jack Rizzo, joined alongside by Elijah Weintraub, as always. So before I get to Eli, just wanted to quickly wish a happy birthday to my sister Abby. Happy birthday. She's 10 years old today. She's at a concert right now, so hoping she's having a great time there. Also, happy birthday to two legendary quarterbacks, Tom Brady, the GOAT, and the legend of Zach Wilson. So happy birthday to both of
And
them.
happy birthday to you. Your birthday was last week. You forgot to mention yourself. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Eli. And also happy birthday to Colts legend Edgerrin James 2 days ago. One of the best running backs in Colts history. All right, Eli, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. Ready. A lot to break down. And football is going to be back in less than 58 minutes. So I'm super excited.
Yep, for sure. All right, so before we get to what you guys all came to watch, Eli, do you want to provide an update on the announcement that we shared a few weeks ago?
As we mentioned a few weeks ago, we're supposed to be getting the Arda Ocal from the NHL and ESPN Sports Center to be joining our podcast. And he'll be finally joining us, and he'll be joining us next Wednesday, August 9th at 2 p.m. We'll have a show.
Don't miss it.
We'll have a 20 to 30-minute interview with him. We'll be breaking down all about his career, a little bit about football, and so much more. So we cannot wait for that episode to air. We want you all to join us then. It'll be Wednesday, August 9th at 2 p.m. And you could see it right in the description underneath the 12th Horseshoe Podcast logo, where we'll have all the information and details, and the link will be up as soon as tonight's episode is complete. So we're super excited and we're super ready for it, and we can't wait to have Arda Ocal on the show, and we thank him for, of course, joining us as always on our show.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, shout out to Arda for taking his time to do that with us. So Eli and I are going to prepare our own questions to ask for him. However, I will post a little Q&A on my Twitter for any of you guys that might have questions. I might not be able to get to all of them, but I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Go follow Arda Ocal on Twitter at Arda, A-R-D-A. He's been doing a lot for ESPN, especially as of late. Sports Center on TV, on Snapchat, NHL on ESPN host. Can't wait to have him on the show.
Yeah, we're super excited, and we want to thank Arda for taking the time to spend it with us. And he'll be live on the Surge TV on August 9th at 2 p.m. So don't miss it. It's going to be such a fun show.
That's right. Can't wait for that. Let's get to what we're going to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about today. There's been a lot of news lately, and we also haven't done a show in 2 weeks, so we have a lot to catch up on. Let's just start off with the biggest news of the day, though. Football is back. That's the big news. After 172 days, the Hall of Fame game takes place today in Canton, Ohio at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is the New York Jets taking on the Cleveland Browns. Aaron Rodgers is not going to play today, not going to make his Jets debut as expected. Zach Wilson will play today, along with
on his birthday.
Along with Jets of offensive tackle Mekhi Becton, who's missed each of the last 2 years with lower body injuries. So we don't really have much to talk about on the game. It's just going to be a bunch of backup players. I did want to mention, though, first, the Hall of Fame inductees for 2023, since the Hall of Fame game is playing in Canton, where the Hall of Fame is. Now, there's a lot of older players and coaches that are getting in this year via, the voting committee. I'm just going to mention the players, though, that played during our lifetime. So we have Darrelle Revis, best corner of his era, obviously with the Jets. Also won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, played with Tampa Bay a little bit. Well-deserved. Definitely one of the best corners of all time. Towards the end of his career, started to drop off a little bit, but for a decade, it was Revis Island. So congrats, Darrell. Joe Thomas, offensive tackle for the Browns. Legend. Spent his whole career with the Browns. Only played 11 seasons, but was a Pro Bowler every single season before the final year of his career where he got hurt. So that doesn't really even count. Fantastic offensive tackle. Definitely deserves to get in. Rondé Barber, another part of that Tampa Bay defense from the early 2000s, finally getting in. One of the best safeties of all time. Of course, his twin brother Tiki won a Super Bowl with the Giants in 2007, I believe. So congrats to Rondé. Zach Thomas, a linebacker that I actually didn't really know much about, but he had a very good career getting in as well. And then DeMarcus Ware, one of the best pass rushers of the 21st century. So congrats to all of those players. Well-deserved inductions into Canton.
Yes, congratulations.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
congratulations to all of them. And it's going to be a fun night. Football's finally back. It is on NBC and Peacock. The pregame show's happening right now. 8 p.m. is when it officially kicks off. And a good question everybody's been mentioning, will the starters of tonight's game, will we see them in our upcoming regular season games? So that'll be a very good question to ask and to keep note of. As we know, Aaron Rodgers and a few star players from the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns will not be playing tonight. The ultimate question is, will they play in the regular season? And that is the ultimate question. Will they benefit at all? And who really is the team to beat during this preseason edition of football? And we're finally back, folks.
I don't really care much about the Jets or the Browns, but I'm never going to be happier to see them play in my lifetime. It's been a long off season. I will say though about the Hall of Fame inductees, I am still pretty upset that Reggie Wayne did not make it. Top 10 all time in receptions and receiving yards. Always was overshadowed by Marvin Harrison in Indy. Colts legend. Everybody in Indy loves Reggie Wayne. Spent his whole career with the Colts. He was incredibly clutch in the postseason, and even his regular season stats are good enough to get him into Canton, and I think he will get there one day. The ballots have just been really loaded the last few years. If Reggie doesn't get in though, that will be a huge mistake by the voting committee. All right,
Absolutely.
so
Before we,
sorry, get ahead, Eli.
Yeah, let's start off with before we get into all the players and every individual team, we do want to announce that CBS has announced that they will have an alternate broadcast for the first time ever for this year's Super Bowl 58, if I'm not mistaken, it is. The Nickelodeon, which is part of CBS and Paramount, will be also hosting the Super Bowl. And on top of the Christmas Day game, they will now also host the Super Bowl. So it'll be the CBS broadcast plus the Nickelodeon broadcast. There is no update at the moment if they will show the halftime show, or if they will have the characters from Nickelodeon perform their halftime like concert for them. But they will have an alternate broadcast for that game. So it'll be CBS and Nickelodeon for the first time ever in the Super Bowl history.
Yep, I don't really care that much
I
about it.
don't
I mean,
really care about it.
It's pretty much for money, but yeah, I mean,
Absolutely. I really can care
it is
less
what it
about it, but we
is.
have to announce it because it's news.
All right, so now
Mhm.
let's get into. There's been a lot of contract extensions over these last 2 weeks. A lot of debates, but a lot of contracts that have gotten done. Let's start off with Aaron Rodgers took a bit of a pay cut to be a member of the Jets for at least the short term. Again, we'll have to see. I'm not going to really get too much hype into them until we actually see them play on the field. But I mean, they have the weapons though. They have a great defense. It's just a matter of can they put the offense together. And Aaron Rodgers will be there for the next few years as he has, again, taken a pay cut to stay with the Jets.
Yeah, he took a nearly $110 million pay cut. He's now guaranteed $75 million for at least 2 years with the New York Jets. It is very interesting. And out of all the teams in the NFL, I'm very surprised about the New York Jets, but I guess he has full faith in them and is hoping to pull off what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he left the New England Patriots. So it's obviously going to be a big challenge. And we'll see if it's obviously the right decision. Yet again, he did take a pay cut, so we'll see if that does factor in. Of course, he will not be playing today's game, nor I doubt he'll be playing any other preseason game anytime soon just to try to preserve him. But we'll try to see him definitely for week 1 because that's when we'll see the full and real Aaron Rodgers come at work and be himself.
Don't forget about Matthew Stafford as well, going from the Lions to the Rams in year 1, going on to win the Super Bowl. That's gonna be a great week 1 game though between the Bills and Jets. That could be. I know it's week 1, but it could be huge playoff implications for the AFC East. Really looking forward to it. MetLife Monday night. Giants played the night before the same, so the grounds crew have got to get the stadium changed in 24 hours.
Remember, as we announced in our last show, they're now having their own logo on the 50-yard line. So on top of changing the end zones, they also have to change the 50-yard line logo plus every other banner and decorations around the stadium. So it's a huge night ahead of them. They better get all the sleep while they can now, as I say.
Yeah, for sure. So over in Cincinnati, we'll talk about Joe Burrow in a little bit. There's quite a lot to talk about him. But star defensive end Trey Hendrickson also signed a 1-year contract extension that keeps him locked up through 2025. What a signing that was for the Bengals. Had a breakout year in 2020 with the Saints, signed with the Bengals, 4-year contract. A lot of people thought he would be a 1-year wonder with the Saints. Well, he's proven that wrong. He's been one of the best pass rushers in the league. He is the best player on that Bengals defense, you could argue. And again, it's good that they're keeping him locked up. Pass rushers, as we know in this day and age, are very, very important.
Absolutely. Super important and great decision. That's all I could deliberate from there.
Yep. One other restructured contract, Daniil Hunter, defensive end from Minnesota, took a 1 year restructured his contract for $20 million. I don't really have a lot to add on that. I don't think you would either,
No,
Eli.
I wouldn't either.
He's been a pretty underrated pass rusher, but it's just wanted to bring that up real quick in case there's any Vikings fans watching that would be upset if we didn't mention that.
Yeah.
All right, now into the actual contract extensions. And I think it's only fair we start off with what is now the largest contract in NFL history. The Chargers and quarterback Justin Herbert, I believe last week, agreed to a new 5-year deal worth $262.5 million, 218.7 million of it guaranteed, largest contract in NFL history in terms of average annual value. And he is also getting $100 million in the first year of that contract. Eli, what do you think of this contract, and how do you think this is going to reset the quarterback market, especially for a guy like Joe Burrow, who's due a contract extension within the next few weeks?
Well, absolutely. And what I want to first start off with is the AFC is now officially loaded with every single team having one of the best quarterbacks being those top 7 seeds of the playoffs. What I can say is it is their Cincinnati Bengals really have to come up with a good contract that's either going to be matching Justin Herbert's contract level, if not go a little bit more than the level. And obviously, we know Joe Burrow is a good player, as he was a Super Bowl player, unlike Justin Herbert, who has not been yet to the Super Bowl in his time yet. And we do know, that the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence are also trying to get back on into the game as well. So between the Chargers and the Jaguars, those are two teams that are trying to rebuild and are rebuilding with the right quarterbacks and for the right amount of money. At this point, it's just about executing. But all I could say is all the good quarterbacks are in the AFC, and there's a lot right now at stake with regards to money. And I don't know what is next for Joe Burrow. All I know is Cincinnati management has to come up with a lot of money, if not get rid of a lot of guys to equal the amount for Joe Burrow and what he wants.
It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of contract he gets, whether he gets one of these 5-year deals that Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and now Justin Herbert have gotten for probably around 265, 270, or if he gets the Patrick Mahomes contract where he gets 10 years and maybe and definitely over 450. He's definitely going to break the definitely going to have the average annual value for a player. Obviously, it would be very foolish of the Bengals not to lock up Joe Burrow. We'll talk a little bit more about Joe Burrow when we get to the injuries that have happened so far in camp. But I mean, they have to get this done, and they will get it done. There's definitely no doubt about it.
There is no doubt that he will stay with the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is absolutely one of the best, and if they get rid of him, the Cincinnati Bengals time period is really done for, and we will not be seeing anytime soon the Bengals, because although they have good players on their team and a great coach on hand, they do not have the talent of quarterback as Joe Burrow did and what he has proven within the last few years.
In the previous 2 seasons before 2021, the year they had Andy Dalton and the year that Joe Burrow got hurt, the Bengals went 25-1 over those 2 years. And then the first year Joe Burrow was fully healthy, they made it to the Super Bowl. It shows how big of a difference Joe Burrow makes. Jamar Chase will also probably get extended next offseason. I mean, those 2 players make that much of a difference. To be honest, if those 2 players weren't on the Bengals, they'd probably be contending for a top 5 pick. I mean, there are some other good players, but the quarterback wide receiver connection is extremely important. So we'll see Joe Burrow definitely get extended at some point, and the Bengals they should get their first Super Bowl relatively soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Next contract. Let's head down to the state of Texas for a few contracts here, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. Cornerback Trayvon Diggs, 5 years, $97 million. I believe it could be worth up to $104 million. Obviously, big contract for a corner. Did give up over 1,000 yards in coverage in 2021, but his interception numbers don't lie. I mean, the Cowboys had to get this done. He was a steal in the 2020 draft. At least we all thought that. And he has been a game changer in that defense. He gives up a lot of yards, but he also forces turnovers. And good job by the Cowboys getting this done.
When you look at the numbers say it all. That's the message I have. And absolutely the right decision made, although Dallas isn't the team that's going to go as far as America thinks. They're made the right decision. And Trevor Diggs is a huge player, a huge help for the team, and his numbers show it all based off of last season. And his improvement is just going to keep on growing. And although he's not with a great team, I mean, he's sort of with a good team, but like not with a playoff Super Bowl run team as other teams would be. That's what I'm trying to get out of.
I can't wait to see Trayvon Diggs in Week 15 against the Bills, matching up against his brother, Stephon Diggs. As long as he's still with the team, because we know the drama that they've been going through. We've already talked about that though. Next contract. Let's head down. Let's head right here home. The New York Giants. They've locked up a couple of players. We talked about Dexter Lawrence before. They just locked up their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, to a 5-year deal, $117.5 million. I've got no issues with it. He's one of the best tackles in the league. Tackle is one of the absolute most important positions in the NFL. It might be the most, especially the blindside blocker. And the Giants, who have had a horrible offensive line since they won their last Super Bowl in 2012, getting Andrew Thomas locked up is a really important thing, and they got it done. The Giants have had an A-plus off season, and it continued. And this contract really was just the final touch.
And absolutely, other than the quarterback, the tackle is the most important position in football. And absolutely, his contract was absolutely right. And now when you have Daniel Jones and plus you have Saquon Barkley on your team after the re-signed contract, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But this team is now loaded. That was an absolutely great decision, worth the money, and we cannot wait to see him for the next 5 years as a New York Football Giant. Hopefully, they're going to get that playoffs, conference championship run, and maybe even a Super Bowl run. The way this team is going, obviously not Super Bowl because Seattle's going to be there, but everything will somewhat be in their favor. Except when Seattle beats them.
We met one of Andrew Thomas's fellow tackles on the New York Giants, Matt Pert. It was really cool meeting him. So talked a lot about Andrew Thomas, spoke very highly of him, and that contract definitely well deserved. So congrats to him. Giants have got their guy for the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
All right, next contract. Let's stay with the Giants. Saquon Barkley. This obviously was a big storyline going into camp, that the fact they didn't get a long-term deal done, he was going to hold out. But the day that the Giants were scheduled to report, surprise in the industry, Giants and
6 o'clock in the morning
agreed to a 1-year deal worth $10.09 million and includes incentives in there. It's pretty much a prove-it deal for Barkley. Carried the Giants offense last year. We'll see if they continue to use him a lot this year, or they go to more of a passing game. But Barkley was tied for the lead in receptions last year for the Giants anyways. So with him, he's going to continue to be a big piece of this offense. As long as he stays healthy, he's one of the best do-it-all running backs in the league. And this is a win-win. This is a win for the Giants, getting their star running back on a contract that's not that bad for running backs. I've never been a fan of paying running backs, but this is kind of a win-win. It's a win for the Giants, get Barkley for another year and don't break the bank. And for Barkley to kind of prove it to himself to earn a bigger contract next year.
Well, that is good for Saquon Barkley and absolutely huge help for this New York Giants team. Without Saquon Barkley, it's a whole different story. And very shocking that they made the announcement, and no surprise that they made an agreement because he is such a good player. However, they did make it early. There's a lot of controversy with him, but everything's all said and done. Good for Saquon Barkley. Glad he's back with New York Giants. But next time, stop making the announcement at 6 o'clock in the morning, please.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but still, you got to throw that out there for fun.
Yeah.
The next one on the list, we're going to head over to Titus Howard and Houston with a 3-year, $56 million contract. Jack, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
First off, back on the Barkley thing, I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
What if the Giants hired Le'Veon Bell to talk some sense into Saquon not holding out? But anyways, Texans signed Titus Howard. Good move. Again, tackle, always important to pay those guys. Most important position in the league, especially when you have a young quarterback like that in CJ Stroud. He's going to have his right tackle because Laramie Tunsil is the left tackle, and Laramie Tunsil might be the best tackle in football. Actually, no, Trent Williams, but Laramie Tunsil's right up there as well. Now you get your right tackle. I believe he's the right tackle signed. So Texans building that offensive line. CJ Stroud should feel pretty comfortable in the pocket this season.
Absolutely.
All right, next contract. Just a few more left. Let's head up to the Windy City, Chicago. They locked in their tight end, Cole Kmet, to a 4-year, $50 million contract. mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Komet had a breakout year last
Absolutely.
year. Was pretty quiet the first 2 years, but showed a lot of chemistry last year with Justin Fields, and now he's got one of his best weapons locked up for the next 4 years, along with DJ Moore. See if Justin Fields could take that next step last year. I mean, of course, last year won a lot of fantasy owners weeks with how crazy his rushing was. We got to see him elevate more as a passer. Cole Kmet helps him with that, and he also helps in the run blocking department. So overall, great deal for the Bears.
Absolutely. And I don't think I could add any more because it's all said right. Great contract extension, and super glad to see it happen all and all come together.
All right, Eli, we have one more contract left. I did this on purpose. I waited to get the Seahawks one last to keep you waiting. But Seahawks locked up linebacker Uchenna and Wasu to a 3-year, $45 million extension. Eli, you're a Seahawks fan. What have you got to say?
All I got to say is I'm super excited. Obviously, we haven't heard his name too much often last year, and it's not a huge name. You hear too too often. But I feel like with this Seattle Seahawks team and the rebuilding that they have done, that it was the right move and then at the right time. And I'm super excited to have him back and re-signed on the team and signed on the team. Huge contract and will definitely help this defense out, especially how much improvement that it needs to be done. And another name that you forgot to add, the last first-round pick finally got signed, and that was cornerback Davon Witherspoon with the Seattle Seahawks for a 4-year, $31 million contract. Super excited. Can't wait to have him. And he was the number 5 pick, which the Broncos gave to us for a horrible decision of taking Russell Wilson. But we're so glad as Seahawks fans that you did take him.
Yep, we know how y'all feel about that.
Oh, yeah.
Seahawks might be forming the second version of Legion movement with him, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant. No, not the Lakers Kobe Bryant. The Seahawks Kobe. I actually couldn't believe that when he was drafted, but it's pretty interesting, honestly. But an RIP obviously to Kobe Bryant of the Lakers. But they also have Jamal Adams in that secondary, Quandre Diggs. So Seahawks looking to form that second version of Legion of Boom. But anyways, let's talk about a few holdouts so far in camp. One of them, of course, is Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, Saquon Barkley ended up reporting to camp. Jacobs has not yet. There are reports that the Raiders and Jacobs are interested in reopening contract talks, but right now has not reported to camp. That's huge because the reigning rushing champion from last year is a huge part of that offense. If they don't have him, they're going to struggle. I mean, I think they already are going to struggle next year to begin with, but not having Jacobs, that's going to make it a whole lot worse there in Las Vegas.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a lot worse, and especially that all eyes are now going to be on Vegas because of the Super Bowl heading down there. We know that even though there may not be such a successful team, they want him to have such a good start. For him not to be signed is very interesting. Hopefully he does get a contract soon, and football's back, so they got to be careful of that. And their preseason game is less than a few weeks away. Actually, next Thursday begins the full regular season preseason games other than the Hall of Fame game happening tonight.
Yep. And also Zach Martin, the guard for the Cowboys, also holding out. He's not due for extension. He just doesn't like the structure of his contract. I don't think we really have much to add on that. I think he will come to camp eventually. He's been a Cowboy for a very long time, and I think he'll just come back. Jerry Jones will figure it out. Anyways,
Absolutely.
let's so I'm going to talk about Jonathan Taylor real quick. Not going to talk about it too much because we talked about this on my show yesterday, the Horseshoe Show. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor we know he's not happy with the situation right now. He wants a new contract. Not due one though, because he's still on his rookie contract. So he cannot hold out of camp or else he would have huge fines, but he's on the physically unable to perform list, had a ankle surgery in January. The Colts have been reporting back pain that Taylor's been complaining about, as well as they think he might have a hamstring now as well. It's completely messed up. Taylor's agent's been all over Twitter, making this a whole lot worse. It's a mess. I don't think the Colts are going to pay Taylor, honestly. I think they're just going to let this season play out. The Colts might listen on trade talks. We know he requested a trade. I think he just ends up staying with the Colts, though. I think we might pay some more other players like Michael Pittman or Grover Stewart. I think Taylor just has to understand, though, what the running back market is, what the running back market is, and that right now he's just not in line to get that contract extension that he's looking for. And I think we just have to wait for the next few weeks for this all to calm down, and then people just kind of forget about the Taylor thing, and then he'll just end up playing the season. That's what I think about that.
Absolutely, and I don't think I could add more because you're a Colts fan. And I think it's all well said and done. And of course, you can catch his show on Wednesdays on Surge TV, which I've seen it. It's pretty good, and give some support to you.
Yeah, thank you. And also go support Eli at Sports Mano a Mano, which airs on Saturdays at 11 a.m. All right. Let's just talk about some players that are still free agents. One free agent, DeAndre Hopkins, signed with the
Which is
Tennessee
a big
Titans on
name.
2 years, $26 million. Don't really think that really does that much for them. Obviously, I'm a Colts fan. I have things against the Titans. I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins is past his prime, though. I don't really think he's going to do that much there in Tennessee. They have 3 pretty mid quarterbacks, so I don't really think it's going to help them that much. And remember what happened to them with Julio Jones in 2021. I just don't really see DeAndre Hopkins making that much of an impact. I mean, he'll be fine. I just don't really think it's going to push the needle for the Titans. The Jags are clearly still the team to beat in that division, and I would keep an eye on the Texans this year, and obviously the Colts.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. No questions. Just moving right along.
All right, let's talk about a few running backs that are still free agents.
AFC at least.
Dalvin Cook, obviously released by the Vikings. Maybe actually wasn't really that surprising, but to me it was
not surprising
how much he did for them. But he visited with the Jets. There's been rumors about the Dolphins, maybe even the Patriots. Maybe even the Bills to join his brother. I mean, I don't really know. I think he's probably just going to end up signing with the Jets, maybe the Dolphins. I think Dalvin Cook could still be a good player, though. He's had some injuries before, but he looked really good last year, and I think some team will sign him. And he might not be a 3-down player anymore, but he could definitely help a team, though, that's trying to win.
Absolutely. It will definitely help a team that will try to absolutely win, but it's going to be definitely a very big challenge just because the way everything has been lately with what his performance was last year with Dalvin with the Minnesota Vikings, but also his future and what he has in store. So obviously we may not see a contract for a while, or we could see a very early morning contract as we did with Saquon Barkley. So just a lot to look out for and to hear. And interesting to see what happened with Dalvin Cook, another good player, but had some struggle last year.
We can say the same about Ezekiel Elliott as well. He had a visit with the Patriots. Been staying in touch with some teams. We thought maybe Tampa Bay was in the mix. Maybe he does go back to Dallas on a different contract.
So
pretty much the same though as Dalvin Cook. We don't really have to talk much about that. They'll both get signed eventually. I'd say they can definitely help out a team that's trying to contend.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So next up, let's talk about some injuries that have happened in camp so far. I mean, it's pretty unfortunate, but injuries are a thing that's going to happen in camp. It's just the way it is.
And we'll start off with the big one.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with that one, if that's okay. Joe Burrow,
go ahead.
Of course, he a calf strain injury after throwing a play. He stumbled to his feet and fell onto the ground. According to reports that he suffered a calf strain, should be out for the few preseason games. Not like he was going to play anyways, but should be ready to go for week 1. There is no question about it. Obviously, an early injury. Maybe it could work out in his favor because of the way his because of his contract of what he wants in store. Maybe this will give him an extra time to think about what's in store for his contract. Obviously, he will not be playing anytime soon because of its preseason, and either way with practice and his injury, just try to preserve him as much as possible. But we'll definitely see him out there for week 1, according to reports. But it could be also, a time for him to rethink about what needs to happen for his contract with Cincinnati.
Yep. So we'll just have to see what happens there. I think that is a good point that it gives him more time. But I think even if nobody wants to get hurt, though. But
no, absolutely nobody wants to get hurt. But that's just, another thought.
It's not going to affect whether the Bengals want to pay him or not. It's a calf strain. Joe's a tough guy. He'll be out there week 1. I have really no concern about
absolutely.
that. As a setback or something, but I mean, this contract is gonna get done at some point. There's absolutely no way the Bengals are gonna let this go by.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Let's talk about another big injury though. Jalen Ramsey, cornerback for the Dolphins. They traded with the Rams for him. Suffered a torn meniscus. He is out until at least December after having surgery. Really unfortunate news. He and Xavier Howard were going to form maybe the best cornerback duo in the league. Dolphins did sign Eli Apple to try to replace him. I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, Eli Apple got burned in the Super Bowl, and I'm not really that fond of Eli Apple, but we'll see how it does. But definitely stinks that Jalen Ramsey is out. That's a big blow for the Dolphins, but he might come back in time, though, for their playoff push if they're making a playoff run.
Absolutely. So just a matter of a waiting game, and I don't think there's much more to add because you brought it up perfectly.
All right.
Tim Patrick is up next.
Yeah,
with a torn Achilles.
This one is really brutal.
All right, so Jack, go ahead.
last summer in camp, he suffered a torn ACL and missed all of last year. Now, just a few practices after suffering that injury, he tears his Achilles, out for the year again. Man, this is so brutal. He's a really solid receiver, one of the more underrated ones in the league. A torn ACL and a torn Achilles back to back is pretty brutal. He's probably never going to be the same. I mean, it's tough to say. And he and Russell Wilson look to be forming a good connection in Denver, and now we're not going to see that as he is out for the year. Just an absolutely brutal blow for Denver. With prayers to Tim Patrick, and hopefully he can come back stronger than ever in 2024.
Absolutely, no question about it. And of course, prayers, and we hope to see him back on the football field again.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a Colts injury now. One that just happened. Zach Moss, the back. Our running back room's already thin, but Zach Moss, our backup to Jonathan Taylor, broke his arm on Monday during practice. He's out for about 6 weeks. He had surgery. There's a chance he could be back for the start of the season. But right now, with Jonathan Taylor still on PUP, Colts running back room is very thin. Our number one guy right now is Deion Jackson, and then it's Evan Hull. Those are two guys. They're supposed to be the third and fourth running backs on a depth chart to begin the season. They've got to step it up in camp and show that they can carry the running back workload. I like both of those guys. I think they could definitely do that, but it's tough for the Colts losing their top two running backs, probably both for the preseason and for the rest of camp.
Absolutely. And said it everything. So for the Colts, so just move along.
Let's go to the Seahawks, though, Eli. The Seahawks running backs are dealing with some injuries. Kenneth Walker, I think, has a hamstring, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And your backup, Zach Charbonnet, also is dealing with something. How do you think the Seahawks are going to have to adjust, not having their two running backs for now? They can come back eventually.
They will come back eventually. I'm not worried about it. The preseason's the preseason, and the preseason has no effect onto the regular season, so I'm not concerned at all about it. Either way, we play over non-important guys anyways, so that is not a concern of mine right now for the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks will be fine, and with the running back with all the running back injuries, like we mentioned, I'm not worried whatsoever about when the regular season does come and for week one. So not a concern at all for me. Obviously, the Seahawks training staff and everybody's going to make sure they're ready for that week one game, if not the future. Their injuries are going to be, done for eventually.
Kadarius Toney, receiver for the Chiefs, had a knee surgery to fix up some things, some cartilage in there.
Yep.
I'm not sure how long he's gonna be out for. I think he's just for a few weeks during camp. Should be back eventually. Obviously, former Giant. Not really much to add there though. And then Cooper Kupp had a hamstring. Sean McVay said he's expected to be out several weeks. This is not good news, especially considering the fact that he missed the second half of last year with an ankle injury. Without Cooper Kupp, the Rams are not really going to go anywhere. They need Stafford and Cooper Kupp to be healthy if they want to have a chance. You can say the same about Aaron Donald as well, who missed a good portion of last year.
Absolutely, and yeah, he missed a lot last year, and we hope that he'll be back for the upcoming season. And these injuries happen. There's nothing we can do about it, but we know he'll be back and no problem about it. Not much more to add from there.
Yep. All right. So those are all the injuries, and that's pretty much all the news that has come out so far.
And the last news, apparently, that quarterback Joe Burrow will be in part of season 2 of Netflix Quarterback. So that'll be happening soon. And also, there was a big comment that was made from Aaron Rodgers about Sean Payne from the Denver Broncos. I think he needs to keep my coach's name out of his mouth, similar to what Will Smith did in the Oscars. So we're seeing a similar story here that happened just a few days ago where he announced it. Interesting, and hopefully doesn't affect the playing time too often, but we'll be good from there.
I understand both sides of that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is definitely right, but at the same time, that was one of the worst offenses I've ever seen in my entire life last year with the Denver Broncos.
Oh, absolutely.
I actually, for some reason, I feel like I was watching them every single week with how bad they were. I had to sit through that Colts-Broncos game, that Thursday nighter that finished 12-9. Might have been the worst game I've ever watched in my life, to be quite honest. It was not.
Nah, I think the Super Bowl was the worst one still because
wasn't really that fun.
The Super Bowl, but
speaking of quarterback, I've been watching the season 1 of that on Netflix. It's a really I think it's a really good show. I think it's been really good. I have Kirk Cousins. He seems like such a great guy, and I think he's been doing really well on that show, and it's definitely changed my perspective on Kirk Cousins. But also Mahomes and Marcus Mariota, also been really impressed with them. I think it's a really good show, and I can't wait for season 2 to come out.
Absolutely. And the CBS Week 1 announcers have been announced. You can go check that out. The big name team will be at the Eagles Patriots game. That includes Jim Nance and Tony Romo and Tracy Wolfson.
And of course, we know that Kenny Albert is calling the Colts Week 1 game on Fox against Jacksonville. And I believe their number one, Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, and I think Aaron Andrews is their
Yes.
sideline reporter. I
Aaron
believe they're calling the Packers Bears game. That's what I think they're calling. Also CBS, their Week 2 and Week 3 announcers have also been announced.
Most of CBS
I'm not
has
going to
been
go through
announced
them,
already.
but
We kind of go through we know the idea. We know, but
yeah. We know all their announcers pretty much. Matt Ryan will be in the booth though for some games, so that'll be a fun time.
Yes, I thought he was studio.
Nope, he's gonna be in game. He's in game. Yep.
Oh, okay.
He's with Andrew Catalan and I think Tiki Barber. I think that's who he's with.
You learn something new.
Yep. All right. So to wrap this up, since we have some time left, we're just gonna do a few like way too early predictions. We're not gonna get into records or anything. We're just gonna go through the divisions, say who we think is gonna win each one, and we're also gonna do way too early MVP, offensive, defensive player of the year, offensive, defensive rookie of the year, and coach of the year. Let's start off with the division, though. Let's start off with the AFC North. Eli, who do you think is going to win the AFC North?
AFC North, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers.
That's the NFC North.
We're going to AFC?
Yeah.
My bad.
I said the AFC North.
Okay, well, you can't go with anybody else but the Cincinnati Bengals. We all know they're going to have that run. Once Joe Burrow is back, they'll be back on fire. Can't say Cleveland Browns, and you can't say Pittsburgh or Baltimore, but that perspective could change based off of tonight's not important preseason game. But I'm going with Cincinnati.
I'm going with Cincinnati as well.
No question.
I mean, they started 0-2 last year and still won the division. It's going to be a tough division, but I think they have the best quarterback in that division. They have an underrated defense. They have the best receiving trio in the league. I mean, still, like T. Higgins is T. Higgins is better than pretty much every other receiver in that division. Damn, I got here late. It's all right, Kush. It's all right. Totally fine. Yeah. T. Higgins, who is their number 2 receiver, might be better than every other receiver in that division. I mean, it's all about Joe Burrow and the receivers. They are going to win that division. Ravens win that division. Screenshot this. Yeah, he predicting Lamar to win the MVP. It's not that crazy of a take. It's all about I think it's all about the Bengals, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have owned the Ravens the last few years, so we will have to see. AFC South. Who are you going with?
Sorry, Jack, but I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. After their performance last year, we all know that they're going to be the team to be in the AFC South, and there's no question about it that their playoff run is going to continue so wild. And I know you, an undisputed Colts fan, will definitely go with a very shocker surprise, but the Colts.
Oh no! I'm going with the Jags as well. They're clearly the best in this division. He doesn't even think they're going to win. He thinks we're going to win like 4 games. I mean, honestly, I kind of agree. We're not going to be that great next year, but
absolutely,
we don't really have. Our secondary might be the worst in the league, so we're not winning the division. It's definitely going to be Jacksonville. I don't care that the Titans added DeAndre Hopkins. Colts are going
fourth.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. All right. AFC East. Who are you going with, Eli?
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. There was no surprise there. Aaron Rodgers is not going to make the Jets any better, nor will New England, Miami have the run as Buffalo did. We're going to see a lot of conference championship rematches. And will the Buffalo Bills make it to the Super Bowl this year after everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin last year?
I'm agreeing with you for the 3rd time in a row. It's going to be the Bills. It's not going to be the Jets. Not going to be the Dolphins. Not even the Patriots, for those of you Patriots fans out there.
I think we might have a 4-way tie on this next one. I'm gonna go with.
Wait, hang on. 5 or 6 is the ceiling. I mean,
okay.
5 and 6. There's 7. There's a fins up. You're a Colts fan. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know if you're actually a Colts fan. All right.
AFC West.
Bills are winning that division. Tua has to stay healthy for the Dolphins to even have a chance. And even then, they don't really have a chance. It's the Bills. AFC West. Who are you going with?
AFC West, none other but the Kansas City Chiefs. Though I'm not a huge fan of it, there is no other team that's going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And it ain't going to be those Denver Broncos, let me tell you. So it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs for me.
Broncos country? I'm picking the Chiefs. I don't ever want to hear that statement again.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no surprise. All right.
Yeah. Chiefs are winning division. I mean, can anybody else even win that division? I mean, the Chiefs.
No,
I mean, they've won the division
unless
like
Patrick Mahomes
6
gets
years in a row. Yeah.
Gets hurt and Andy Reid is not coaching, then no, they will not win the division. Other than that, they will win the division.
The last time the Chiefs missed the playoffs was 2014. I
Mm.
believe, yeah, they missed the playoffs in 14. And the last time they finished with a losing record, though, was 2012 when they had the worst record in the NFL. So
Absolutely.
they have had a decade of absolute dominance. All right, let's go to the NFC. NFC North. I'll start this one.
All
I
right.
am going with the Detroit Lions. That's my pick to win the NFC
Really?
North. I am a huge believer in the Detroit Lions. I'm not even a Lions fan, but I would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell. He is a phenomenal head coach. Jared Goff is ridiculously underrated. He's probably a top 10, like last year statistically was a top 5 quarterback, might be a top 10 in the league. Once Jameson Williams comes back, he and Amon-Ra St. Brown will be a great receiving duo. The defense is going to improve, especially with CJ Gardner-Johnson. The Packers can't win it because I don't think Jordan Love's going to be that good. The Bears are the Bears, and the Vikings, they went 11-0 last year, one-score games. There's no way that's going to happen again.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I absolutely agree with the Bears and the Packers situation. However, with the Lions this year, I know they almost gave up. They almost had a playoff opportunity last year, and then they did lose it because of Seattle. Thank you. Yeah, I have to go Minnesota. The Minnesota's the team. Although they have some contract issues and some the things to go along with, I'm still going with the Minnesota Vikings and not the Detroit Lions. And Undisputed Colts fan said Chargers will lose division by 1 game.
I'm saying 4 games, not even close.
Going to say more than 1, that's for sure.
I think the Chiefs are going to go 13-4. I think the Chargers are going to be 9-8. So, all right, NFC South, probably the weakest division in the NFL. I am going with, this is shocker, the Atlanta Falcons. That is my pick to win the NFC North. I think, especially with Bijan Robinson being added to this offense, I think the Falcons are really going to break out this year. I think Desmond Ridder is going to have a great second year. Arthur Smith is the running backs guru, so they're going to have a huge rushing offense with Bijan and Tyler Jarron. Cordero Patterson's still there. Drake London's a really solid receiver. Kyle Pitts, as long as they use him more, he'll be pretty good. And they added some nice players to that defense as well. Panthers are going to have some growing pains with Bryce Young. The Bucs have Baker Mayfield, end of story. And the Saints, I just don't really believe it. I'm not a believer in Derek Carr. So give me the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC North.
See, I'm not going to go with Tampa Bay, nor I'm going with New Orleans because we all know they're not going to be the team, but I'm going with the Carolina Panthers. I think that with their new quarterback, I think it'll be the time for them. And I know it's not a great pick, but that is a horrible division. No changes there, but for a surprise, I'll go Carolina. It seems like NFC, we're deferring a lot. AFC, we agreed on everything, which is no surprise there. But let's go to the next one, NFC.
Wait, hang on. So I could see Carolina winning division if Frank Reich was not their head coach. I mean, as a Colts fan, I still have PTSD from some of the horrible play calling that he had in Indy. He's going to hold the Panthers back. I just don't think there's any way he's going to lead the Panthers to division.
We'll see after the season ends.
NFC East, who are you going with?
The New York Football Giants. Why am I going with them? The Eagles, they lost a lot of good coordinators, the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and a few players that were crucial during that Super Bowl run. Obviously, we all know what happened, and they failed miserably with the Kansas City Chiefs run, but there is no question about it that the New York Giants are the team to beat. Commanders, although they got the new owner, that's not going to change much. Dallas Cowboys, America's team and America's disappointment team. That's all I could add with. The New York Giants are the team would be Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. What more could you add there? Giants are winning this year's division.
All right, as much
Undisputed Colts fan
Giants,
agrees.
Yeah, unless he's saying he thinks that's crazy. I am going to agree with you. I am going with the Giants to win this division as well.
Finally, we agree.
I think the Eagles are still the better team on paper, but it just takes a few injuries to derail your season. Like, look at what happened to the 2020 San Francisco 49ers. I think that Andrew Thomas is going to become the best tackle in the league this year. This defense is only going to get better. I think Jalen Hyatt is going to have a breakout rookie season, be that new number 1 for the Giants. I met Jalen Hyatt as well. Super nice guy, rooting for him a ton. But I am high on the Giants. They don't, as I said, they don't have that true number 1 receiver yet, but I think Jalen Hyatt can step up. Saquon Barkley, as long as he's healthy, will carry the workload on offense. As long as Daniel Jones doesn't limit the turnovers, and as long as the defense continues to bend, not break, the Giants are the NFC East Division champions. Sorry, Eagles. Not really, honestly.
All right, NFC West, we know who we're going with. The Seattle Seahawks, none other. Sorry, but with all the injuries that San Francisco has gone through last year and that will continue on this year, there are no chance whatsoever for them. I can care less about Arizona, that they're not even in the picture. And Los Angeles, well, they're falling right behind them. Let's go Seattle Seahawks. They're winning it. Jack, agree or disagree? And I think it's a disagree, even though we all know it's the truth.
This is the time of the show where we go from fantasy to reality. It's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, there's not really any question about it. I mean, they might have the best roster in the league. Wrong Niners. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the Niners, it doesn't matter which quarterback they have behind center. They can have Jamarcus Russell back there. They can have Jamarcus Russell back there for all I care. They're still going to win the division. Kyle Shanahan, great offensive mind. Christian McCaffrey, maybe the best back in the league other than Nick Chubb.
Whatever, Jack.
Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams, best offensive line in the league. Defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. Secondary is always good. They drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. That should show you how loaded this team is. It's going to be the 49ers, and they are, spoiler alert, my pick to win Super Bowl 58 right now. Sorry,
the Cowboys
Eli.
should have picked up the kicker. And number 2, they're not winning their division, and they're not winning their Super Bowl title. Look at the loaded AFC East if it's not the AFC, if it's not the Seattle Seahawks. And Colts, come on.
Who are you predicting to win the Super Bowl, Eli?
Well, if it's not the Seattle Seahawks, it's going to be, I don't know. I think we're going to have a surprise this year. It's either going to be Cincinnati or Buffalo. But if I had to put the money on it, or if I have to say a guess on it, I would go with Cincinnati.
I mean, I don't think that would really be much of a surprise if Cincinnati won. All right. Don't put this up on the, because he's trying to build the suspense for who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. But anyways, I don't really, Ravens. Oh my. Okay. Let's relax ourselves a little bit here. We need Lamar Jackson to stay healthy. We need the Ravens to actually be the best team. They're not even the best team in their own division right now. We got to relax ourselves a little bit here. So I'm going with the Niners. You're going with the Bengals. He's going with the Ravens.
We agreed on AFC, disagreed a lot except for New York on the NFC. That's the summary. Move along.
All right, let's go to some award predictions. Who do you think is the 2023 NFL MVP?
So if it's not Patrick Mahomes like it always is every year, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. I think what he has done and what he's going to be doing this year, he will be the quarterback if it's not someone from Seattle or Indianapolis.
I am going with, as a Colts fan, I'm going with this. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Second half last year, unbelievable. He's going to be much more consistent this year. Doug Peterson was a phenomenal coaching hire, as we saw last year. He's got all the weapons around him. Travis Etienne in the backfield. The offensive line should be better. I know they lost Cam Robinson for 4 games. That's going to hurt. But Trevor Lawrence is going to be the 2023 NFL MVP. All right, he's going with Lamar. We already know that. Or Will Levis. Okay, that's a troll. All right, let's just move on.
Next.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Saquon Barkley.
Okay, I was not expecting that from you.
Okay, because now why? I wouldn't obviously I'm not going to go with Seattle, and I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley because he was a shocker to everybody, but it's going to prove everybody wrong, and that he deserved this contract absolutely 100%. And I'm going with Saquon Barkley in this case. Jack, I want to hear it.
It's a little tough to figure out who the offensive player. I mean, this award is tough because some years they want it to be a quarterback, and other years they don't want it to be a quarterback. So we'll just have. I'm just gonna go with Nick Chubb. He's the best running back in the league. If the Browns make it to the playoffs, it's gonna be on the back of Nick Chubb.
Bijan for undisputed.
He's saying Bijan. That's my offensive rookie of the year prediction, not my offensive player of the year. Bijan is going to be a star there in Atlanta. Again, Arthur Smith is the running backs guru. We saw with Derrick Henry in Tennessee. We saw him revive Cordero Patterson's career here in Atlanta. And then Tyler Algier having a breakout year last year. But our offensive player of the year, Nick Chubb, best running back in the league. Eli, who is your offensive rookie of the year?
Well, I'm going to go with the quarterback, and I'll be nice to you, Colts fans. I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to prove a lot wrong.
I
I know
like it.
everybody's
I like
happy.
it,
I
Eli.
know everybody's happy, but I don't know who I would say would definitely surprise the offense. But because Anthony Richardson is the most talked about right now in the NFL, I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson. So make you all Colts fans happy.
Thank you, Eli. That's very
Say a
appreciative.
Seahawks player, Jack.
Yep. So, no, sorry. I mean, I could go with JSN, but I'm not going to go with him. Um,
Yeah, I see that. Go
I
on.
already told you it was Bijan. That's my pick. But
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for the Anthony Richards comment. I don't think he's gonna win it, but I would love for him to. I think he's gonna have growing pains this year, but he's gonna show some flashes. He's got a great arm. He can run. He's got all the tools. It's gonna take a little time for him to grow, but I am a believer in AR. Just got his jersey. Really happy about that. Can't wait to see him here in Indianapolis. How about your defensive player of the year? Defensive player of the year. Who are you gonna go with?
I got no idea. Because I had no idea we're doing a rookie defensive, so I came up with the offense. So Jack, go ahead.
All right. Fred Warner. That's my pick. Best linebacker in the league.
All right, that's
Nick Bosa won it last year. So why
I'm gonna
not?
go with it because I did not prepare ahead, so I'm gonna go with it.
Wow. Eli caught red-handed on the spot, not preparing. All
I had no
right.
idea till
Defensive
like 5
rookie of
minutes
the
before we
year.
got on
Not
there.
sure.
They were doing this show.
I'm not sure if you prepared a defensive rookie of the year, Eli. So let's just go with Will Anderson
Defensive, I did.
Jr. Oh, you did? All right.
Non-rookie. Non-rookie. I did.
Oh, well, then it can't be defensive rookie of the year if it's not a rookie.
Well, I did regular defense because we did offensive, so I said defensive.
Yeah, you said who's your defensive player of the year?
I'm gonna go with TJ Watt because he came out of retirement and he is going to
Came out of retirement.
That's what wasn't that the right the post said, or was I wrong?
No, he had an injury last year.
Oh.
He's like 27. I don't know if he'd retire.
I read
early.
the article wrong.
That's JJ Watt who retired, but he's not coming out of retirement. He's in the
TJ Watt
versus EBS as well. Yeah,
TJ.
that's a good pick.
TJ, okay.
Fred Warner for me.
I read the article wrong once more.
Rookie, we'll go with.
Elijah,
I'm going with
preparing.
Will Anderson. Should be a star. I mean, I don't really have much to add. He's just a really good pass rusher. I'm sure you'll go with that too, Eli.
Sure.
Unless if you want to go with Devin Witherspoon, your Seahawks rookie.
I'm gonna go
And then final award, Coach of the Year. I'm gonna go with Arthur Smith of the Falcons. They win the division. He's got to be Coach of the Year. He's gotten 7 wins out of Marcus Mariota and Matt Ryan. So why can't he get 7 out of Desmond Ridder?
I'm going to take Robert Saleh from the New York Jets. I think what he's going to be doing this year with this team, although it's not going to be the surprise everybody wanted, it's going to be something that it's going to make the NFL community proud and happy, and that is why he's going to be the Coach of the Year. As much as we all know Jets aren't going to be the team to beat this year, but because of what they've been preparing so far, that's what my prediction is going to be.
I find it ironic that you say that he's going to be the Coach of the Year, but also you say the Jets are going to stink. That doesn't really add up, but whatever. All right.
Well, I mean, it kind of does because, I mean.
How about your comeback player of the year? Do you have a comeback player? Anybody that was possibly?
Gino?
I mean, if you don't, it's fine. I'll.
Go ahead, Jack. You start.
I
was gonna say Gino, but he had a good year last year.
Wait, why would he be? He was the comeback player last year. He can't. I don't think he'd be the comeback player again. I will go with. I'll go with TJ Watt.
All right, I'm gonna go.
He only missed like 7 or 8 games last year, but I mean, I'll go with him.
I'm gonna have to agree. You know, I did not prepare for all this, so I'm gonna go with that.
All right. I mean, I could just. Yeah, I don't really know who else could be. I mean, there's not a lot of actually Baker Mayfield. I'll take Baker Mayfield if he's going to start the whole year.
Yeah.
Then maybe he'll be. All right. I don't really think we have much more to add here. Again, we will Sports Center anchor and NHL and ESPN host Arda Ocal joins the show next Wednesday, August 9th at 2 p.m. We're still going to have our episode next week. This one is just like a bonus edition. Again, Eli and I are going to have our own questions prepare for him. I'll send out a Twitter Q&A on my Twitter at Jack_Riz RAZZ28.
And I'll have the link up shortly for the next episode. So just stay tuned for that. And in 5 minutes, football is back. So get ready, folks.
I just wanted to close out real quick by again wishing a happy birthday to my sister. Happy birthday. Hope you're having a great time at the concert.
I forgot to mention happy birthday to Jim, who I do the show with. His birthday was on Tuesday, so happy birthday to him.
Yep. Happy birthday to my cousin as well, who had her birthday a few days ago. A lot of birthdays around here, but that's gonna do it for the. Yep. unless you have anything to add, Eli, that's going to do it for the 12th Horseshoe podcast today.
That's it.
You're on Surge Sports
Join
TV.
us next Wednesday for Ardo Cal, Jack Rizzo, Elijah Weintraub signing off. Goodbye.